There's a man walking alone. He sees others laughing, sharing stories, surrounded by friends. He wonders, why not me? He questions if something is wrong with him. But what if I told you being alone isn't a curse? It's a stage, a test, a foundation. Some of the greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the most powerful individuals all had moments where they stood alone. Because when you have no one to lean on, you learn to lean on yourself. Loneliness is often misunderstood. People see it as a permanent state, a label that defines who they are, but the truth is loneliness is not a life sentence. It's a signal. It's a message from within telling you that something needs attention. Think about hunger. When your body needs food, it sends a signal. That empty feeling in your stomach is not meant to punish you. It's meant to guide you. It tells you to eat, to nourish yourself, to sustain your energy. Loneliness works the same way. It's not meant to define you. It's meant to direct you. It's your mind and heart telling you that something is missing, not to make you suffer, but to push you toward growth. Yet so many people misunderstand this signal. They believe loneliness means they are unworthy, unlikable, or incapable of connection. They take it as a judgment rather than an opportunity. But when you shift your perspective, you begin to see loneliness for what it really is, a call to action. Some of the most successful, influential, and inspiring people have felt completely alone at some point in their lives, not because they were unworthy, but because they were in transition, because they were outgrowing old relationships, searching for deeper meaning, or preparing for something greater. Loneliness often appears when you are on the edge of transformation. It's a sign that you are stepping into a new phase, a new identity, a new purpose. Many people react to loneliness the wrong way. They try to escape it. They distract themselves with social media, meaningless conversations, or shallow relationships just to avoid that feeling. They surround themselves with noise, hoping it will drown out the silence inside. But ignoring the signal doesn't solve the problem. It only prolongs it. Instead of running from loneliness, what if you listened to it? What if you asked yourself, why do I feel this way? Is it because I lack deep connections? Is it because I'm not engaging in meaningful work? Is it because I don't truly know myself? These are difficult questions, but they are necessary. Because loneliness doesn't just appear, it has a source. And once you identify that source, you can start making changes. Loneliness is not telling you that you are doomed to be alone forever. It's telling you that something in your life needs attention. Maybe it's your self-worth. Maybe it's your purpose. Maybe it's the way you communicate, the way you carry yourself, the way you invest in relationships. Whatever it is, the signal is there for a reason. Some of the strongest people in the world have spent time alone. Not because they were rejected, but because they were building something. They were working on themselves. They were preparing for the right people, the right opportunities, the right future. And that process cannot be rushed. When you stop seeing loneliness as a punishment and start seeing it as a teacher, everything changes. You stop fearing solitude. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop settling for connections that drain you instead of fulfilling you. Instead, you start focusing on becoming someone worth knowing, worth respecting, worth being around. Loneliness is a message, but it's up to you to decode it. Will you ignore it, bury it, numb it, or will you embrace it, learn from it, and use it to create something better? Strength is often misunderstood. People think it comes from numbers, from having a crowd, from being surrounded by supporters, but real strength, the kind that lasts, the kind that shapes leaders, the kind that withstands any storm, comes from standing alone. There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize that not everyone will understand them, not everyone will support them, not everyone will walk with them on their journey. It's in that moment that a choice must be made. Will you shrink back and wait for approval, or will you move forward despite the silence? Most people fear standing alone because it feels uncomfortable. It feels uncertain. It feels like a risk. But that discomfort is exactly where growth happens, because when you have no one else to rely on, you are forced to rely on yourself. And that is where true strength is built. Think about a tree standing alone in an open field. It has no protection from the wind, no shelter from the storms, no support from other trees nearby. It must anchor its roots deep into the ground to survive. It must develop resilience that trees in a crowded forest will never need. And because of that, it grows stronger. It becomes unshakable. People who have never stood alone often struggle when challenges arise. They are used to leaning on others, relying on external validation, depending on a support system to keep them steady. But the ones who have learned to stand alone, they are different. They have faced rejection and kept moving. They have pursued goals without applause. They have made decisions without approval. And in doing so, they have built a foundation that no setback, no criticism, no failure can break. Standing alone doesn't mean you will always be alone. It means you have learned not to depend on others for your strength. It means you can walk into any room, any challenge, any situation, knowing that you are enough. Because strength is not found in numbers. It is found in the ability to stand firm when the numbers disappear. There are moments in life when you will have no choice but to stand alone. Maybe you have a dream that no one believes in. Maybe you have a vision that others don't understand. Maybe you have values that are different from the crowd. In those moments, the easy thing to do is to blend in, to stay quiet, to go with the flow. But the easy path does not lead to strength. The strongest people in history were not the ones who followed the crowd. They were the ones who had the courage to walk alone when necessary. They were the ones who dared to be different, who stood by their principles even when it was difficult, and because of that, they became leaders. There is power in solitude. It forces you to grow. It forces you to listen to yourself, to trust yourself, to become someone who doesn't need a crowd to feel valuable. And the moment you realize that you can stand on your own, that is the moment you become truly unstoppable. Everyone wants good friends, people who understand them, support them, and bring value to their lives. But too often, people focus on finding the right friends instead of becoming the right friend. They search for people who will make them feel accepted, yet they forget that true friendship is not about what you receive, it's about what you bring. Friendship doesn't start with others, it starts with you. Think about the kind of people you want in your life. Do you want friends who are loyal, kind, trustworthy, and inspiring? Now ask yourself an honest question. Am I that kind of person? Too many people want great friendships without putting in the work to be a great friend themselves. They want deep connections but bring nothing meaningful to the table. They want loyalty from others but don't practice loyalty in their own action. The relationships in your life are a reflection of who you are. If you surround yourself with shallow, unreliable people, it might be time to look inward. What energy are you putting out? What kind of presence do you bring into a room? If you focus only on what you can get from others, you will always struggle to form real friendships. But if you shift your mindset and focus on what you can give, everything changes. Friendship is built on value. People are drawn to those who uplift, inspire, and challenge them to be better. If you want high-quality friends, you must first become someone worth knowing. That means developing your character, your mindset, and your ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. It means being a good listener, showing up when it matters, and being the kind of person others can trust. Many people feel lonely because they are waiting for someone else to take the first step. They wait for invitations, for messages, for signs that they are wanted. But friendship is not about waiting, it's about taking action. If you want connection, create it. If you want loyalty, practice it. If you want friends who care about you, be the kind of person who genuinely cares about others. Building real friendships takes time. It requires effort, consistency, and patience. It's not about impressing people or trying to fit in. It's about forming genuine connections based on trust and mutual respect. Too many people chase popularity instead of authenticity. They try to be liked by everyone instead of focusing on finding the right people who truly align with them. But the best friendships are not forced. They are built naturally through shared values, experiences, and the willingness to invest in each other. Friendship also requires self-awareness. It's important to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses in relationships. Are you reliable? Are you supportive? Are you the kind of person who lifts others up or the kind who drains their energy? Friendships flourish when both people bring value, and the best way to attract good friends is to embody the qualities you admire in others. At the core of every strong friendship is a simple truth. You cannot give what you do not have. If you don't love yourself, it will be hard to accept love from others. If you don't respect yourself, it will be hard to build relationships based on respect. If you don't work on becoming the best version of yourself, you will always struggle to find deep, meaningful connections. The quality of your friendships will always start with you. Instead of looking for the perfect friends, focus on becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts them. Work on your character, your mindset, and your ability to bring value into people's lives. Because when you do, you won't have to chase friendships. They will naturally form around you. In a world where likes, followers, and approval seem to define success, it's easy to believe that being popular is the ultimate goal. People chase validation, adjusting who they are to fit in, to be accepted, to be noticed. But popularity is fragile. It shifts with trends, disappears when circumstances change, and often demands that you become someone you're not. Purpose, on the other hand, is unshakable. It gives direction, meaning, and fulfillment that no amount of social approval can ever replace. Popularity is about perception. It's about being liked, admired, and accepted by as many people as possible. But here's the truth. No matter how popular you are, there will always be someone who disagrees with you, dislikes you, or simply doesn't care. If your sense of worth is tied to how others see you, then your confidence will always depend on external validation. That is a dangerous place to be, because the moment the attention fades, the moment the applause stops, you're left wondering, who am I without it? And purpose, on the other hand, is internal. It doesn't require an audience. It doesn't fade when trends change. It doesn't depend on whether people approve. Purpose is about something bigger than recognition. It's about impact. It's about knowing why you do what you do, standing firm in your values, and making decisions based on what truly matters, not what will make you more liked. The problem with chasing popularity is that it often requires compromise. It forces people to adjust their identity, their beliefs, and their priorities just to fit into a mold that others approve of. But when you live for approval, you sacrifice authenticity. You start saying what people want to hear instead of what you truly believe. You start making choices that please others rather than choices that align with your value. And the worst part? The approval you work so hard to gain is never guaranteed to last. People who prioritize purpose over popularity don't live for applause. They live for impact. They focus on making a difference rather than being admired. They understand that being respected is more important than being liked. They are willing to stand alone if it means standing for something meaningful, because they know that popularity is temporary, but purpose is lasting. Think about the people who have truly changed the world. They were not always the most liked. They were not always understood. They faced criticism, rejection, and even isolation. But they had something far more valuable than approval. They had a purpose that drove them forward. They did not adjust their vision to gain acceptance. They stayed committed to something bigger than themselves. And in the end, it wasn't their popularity that made them great. It was their dedication to something meaningful. The pursuit of popularity can be exhausting. It requires constant validation, endless comparison, and a fear of losing approval. But the pursuit of purpose is liberating. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, to live with intention. There will always be a choice. Chase approval or chase impact. Live for acceptance or live for meaning. Popularity may bring temporary recognition, but purpose brings lasting fulfillment. And the moment you stop worrying about how many people approve of you and start focusing on the impact you can make, everything changes. In a world that constantly promotes networking, social circles, and follower counts, it's easy to believe that the more connections you have, the better. People chase numbers, thinking that having many friends means they are more valued, more accepted, more important. But relationships are not about quantity. They are about depth. 1,000 surface-level connections will never be as powerful as 1 or 2 meaningful ones. Society often glorifies being socially active, constantly surrounded by people, and always having someone to call. But real fulfillment doesn't come from how many people you know. It comes from the depth of your relationships. The question isn't how many friends do you have. The real question is, how many of them would truly be there for you in your lowest moments? Many people fill their lives with acquaintances, yet still feel lonely. They have people to party with, people to text, people to hang out with, but no one they can truly confide in. No one who understands them at their core. No one who will show up when there's nothing to gain. That's because quantity gives the illusion of connection, but only quality provides the depth that leads to true belonging. A strong relationship is not measured by how often you talk, how many photos you take together, or how many events you attend as a group. It's measured by trust, by loyalty, by how well you understand each other. A real friend is someone who listens without judgment, who stands by you even when it's inconvenient, who doesn't disappear when life gets difficult. Those are the connections that matter. Those are the relationships worth investing in. But quality relationships require effort. They are not built overnight, and they cannot be maintained through occasional check-ins. They require presence, honesty, and commitment. They require you to show up, to communicate, to be vulnerable. And that's why they are rare. Not everyone is willing to invest that kind of energy into a friendship. Not everyone is willing to move beyond the surface. But those who are, they are the ones who make life richer, deeper, more meaningful. Think about the relationships in your life. Are they built on shared values, respect, and mutual support? Or are they based on convenience, entertainment, and superficial conversations? It's important to recognize the difference between people who are there for the good times and people who will stay through the storms. The reality is not everyone in your life is meant to stay forever. Some connections fade, and that's okay. What matters is recognizing which relationships are worth keeping and which ones are only taking up space. Because the more time and energy you invest in shallow connections, the less you have for the ones that truly matter. Building deep relationships requires choosing quality over quantity every single time. It means valuing honesty over appearance, loyalty over convenience, and trust over temporary excitement. It means being intentional with who you allow into your life and who you invest your energy in. Because at the end of the day, a few strong, meaningful connections will always outweigh 100 surface-level interactions. Self-discovery is not a destination. It is not a single moment of realization where everything suddenly makes sense. It is a continuous journey, a process of uncovering who you truly are, what you believe in, and what you are meant to do in this world. The challenge is that most people don't take this journey. They stay in their comfort zones, living by the expectations set by others rather than exploring their own paths. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by external influences, family, society, culture, and the people around us. We are told what is right, what is wrong, what success looks like, and what failure means. We are given labels, roles, and expectations that define us before we even have the chance to define ourselves. But at some point, there comes a moment when you must ask yourself, who am I beyond what the world has told me to be? The journey of self-discovery is not easy. It requires questioning everything you once assumed to be true. It requires letting go of old beliefs that no longer serve you. It requires facing parts of yourself that you might not want to see. But this is where true growth happens. When you start to explore your own thoughts, your own desires, your own identity, free from external pressure, you begin to uncover your true self. Many people avoid this journey because it is uncomfortable. It forces you to be honest with yourself. It forces you to acknowledge your fears, your insecurities, your weaknesses. But avoiding it only leads to a life where you are a stranger to yourself, living a version of life that was never truly yours. Self-discovery is about exploration. It is about trying new things, stepping outside of routine, and embracing experiences that challenge your perspective. Every new skill you learn, every book you read, every meaningful conversation you have contributes to the process. It is not about having all the answers. It is about being open to discovering them along the way. This journey also requires solitude, not isolation, but time spent with yourself, truly listening to your own thoughts without distraction. In a world that is constantly loud, filled with opinions, comparisons, and digital noise, solitude allows you to hear yourself clearly. It gives you the space to reflect, to process, to understand what you truly want out of life rather than what you have been conditioned to want. Along the way, you will encounter fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. But fear is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are stepping into something new, something unfamiliar. Growth does not happen in comfort. The moments that feel the hardest, the most confusing, the most uncertain, those are the moments when transformation is happening. Self-discovery also requires letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of the need for external validation, letting go of relationships that no longer align with who you are becoming. It is a process of shedding old layers so that the real you can emerge. And the more you let go of what is not meant for you, the more space you create for what is. One of the greatest misconceptions about self-discovery is that it leads to a final, complete version of yourself. But the truth is, there is no final version. You are constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly growing. Every experience, every challenge, every new perspective adds another piece to the puzzle. And that is the beauty of it. There is no rush, no fixed timeline, no right or wrong way to do it. The only requirement is that you stay open, stay curious, and keep moving forward.